What's the luckiest or unluckiest thing that's happened to you recently? Maybe you found some money on the ground, or you missed your train. But what about surviving a plane crash and then winning the lottery? Let's ramp up the fortune and misfortune to the extreme, and we're starting off with Frano Selak, a music teacher from Croatia whose life was like a Hollywood thriller. Allegedly. In 1962, while traveling by train through a cold, rainy canyon, the train Frano was on derailed and plunged into a river. 17 passengers drowned, but our boy Frano managed to escape with a broken arm and hypothermia. Frano survived and lived happily ever after. But only for a few months, because in 1963, during his first and only plane ride, a malfunctioning door caused him to be ejected mid-air. And just like in old-school cartoons, he managed to land in a haystack, while the crash claimed 19 lives. Now what makes this story a little bit is that there are no official records of a plane crash in Croatia in 1963 matching Frano's story. Frano's streak continued because in 1966, a bus he was on skidded off into a river, resulting in 4 drownings. Unfortunately, Frano was one of the 4, and his legacy will be remembered forever. Psych! He swam to safety with only minor injuries. I mean, what did you expect? The man is freaking invincible.
Okay, that's it. No more planes, no more trains, no more buses. I'll be in charge of my own fate.
And that approach worked pretty well for Frano. For a few years at least, because in 1970, his car caught fire while driving, but he managed to escape before the fuel tank exploded. And 3 years later, in another driving incident, a malfunctioning fuel pump sprayed hot oil into the engine, causing flames to shoot through the air vents. Frano's hair was singed, but he was otherwise unharmed. One could say he was on a really hot streak. Anyone? Frano thought he could finally live a normal and peaceful life. And so, he did.
Are you sure about that?
For around 20 years, because in 1995, he was struck by a bus as a pedestrian, but sustained only minor injuries. A year later, in another Hollywood-esque scenario, he managed to avoid a head-on collision with a United Nations truck on a mountain curve. Frano's car swerved into a guardrail, which gave way. Not wearing a seatbelt, he was ejected from the car and clung to a tree branch as he watched his vehicle fall 300 feet.
Oh, phew. That was really close. Now what?
Don't flip!
After all these events that would make Tom Cruise incredibly jealous, life had one last surprise in store for him. 2 days after his 73rd birthday, Frano won 900,000 euros in the lottery. Now, before I told Frano's story, I mentioned that his life was allegedly a Hollywood thriller. Why? Well, for almost all these events, besides the lottery win, we don't have any official evidence or police reports. This suggests that those events were most likely either exaggerated over time, or simply made up to make Frano's experiences more of an urban legend.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
Next up, we have Tsutomu Yamaguchi, aka the real-life definition of wrong place, wrong time. Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima for a business trip, and on August 6, 1945, while heading to the shipyard, he saw a blinding flash of light. He witnessed the first atomic bomb ever used in war. Luckily, Yamaguchi was just far enough from ground zero to avoid instant vaporization, but still close enough to get blasted off his feet. He suffered severe burns across his body, temporary blindness, and ruptured eardrums. Yet somehow, he survived. Dazed and burned, Yamaguchi spent the night in an air raid shelter with other survivors. But rather than staying put and recovering, he made a decision to go home, to Nagasaki. And even after experiencing such a horrible thing, he showed up at work on August 9th, wrapped in bandages.
So what happened when the bomb was detonated?
Well, before the explosion, there was a very bright light.
Oh, kinda like this one?
Yeah, exactly like that. Wait, Yamaguchi was inside an office building this time, which shielded him from the direct blast. But the force of the explosion still shattered the windows and knocked him off his feet again. Despite being exposed to the radiation of both atomic bombs, Yamaguchi miraculously went on to live a long life. He lived to be 93 years old, and in 2009, the Japanese government officially recognized him as the only known person to have survived both atomic bombings. Yamaguchi never expressed any hatred or bitterness. Instead, he became an advocate for nuclear disarmament, using his unimaginable experience to call for peace. Now let's talk about Roy Sullivan, a US park ranger who had a personal beef with Mother Nature. The odds of being struck by lightning in a given year are about 1 in 1.2 million in the US. However, over the course of a lifetime, assuming you live to around 80 years old, the odds drop to about 1 in 15,300. And these statistics are to get struck by lightning once, but Roy here got struck not once, not twice, 7 frickin' times. So let's speed run through all of them. Roy was working as a lookout in Shenandoah National Park when a storm rolled in. Normally, lookout towers are equipped with lightning rods, but his wasn't finished yet. So he ran out and got struck by lightning. His leg caught fire, but he managed to survive. For strike number 2, he was driving his truck when a bolt hit a nearby tree, bounced off, and shocked him inside his vehicle. Cars usually protect you from lightning because of their metal frame, acting as a Faraday cage. But Roy was built different. The strike knocked him unconscious and burned his eyebrows off. His truck kept moving but eventually stopped safely.
Can I take your order, please?
Just a year later, while patrolling the park, lightning struck him again, setting his shoulder on fire. This time, the bolt hit him in the head, setting his hair on fire and knocking him to the ground. He crawled to his truck and poured water over his smoldering scalp. Roy was just walking in the park when he was zapped again. His hair caught fire again, and his legs got burned. You know what? Maybe I should just avoid all kinds of parks. While fishing, Roy got struck for the 6th time, suffering a chest and stomach injury. Maybe I should just stay at home. He was hit while walking in his front yard, and yet again, his hair caught fire. After surviving more lightning strikes than anyone in recorded history, Roy became famous. He even ended up earning the Guinness World Record for most times struck by lightning. You know, if I were him, I would probably start a movie career or something.
We've got you cornered, you little twerp. Now give us all your Pokemon.
No way! I'll show you! Go get him, Roy!
Roy! You can keep that one.
In the end, life is a roller coaster of both good and bad luck, but we're all in this crazy ride together. Isn't that right, Pikachu?
Pika.
Pikachu!
Thank you so much for watching and subscribe for 10 days of good luck.